again. Here we go. Herbarium. Don't know if you know this, but herbarium was one of the first ways that women interacted with formal science in the US, collecting and pressing plants. And I think Harvard has Emily Dickinson's herbarium. It started as an ache in my left hip and doctor visits chasing pain around my body like a game of cat and scratch. There was relief in my solar plexus. A prescription, stretches, Vicodin, and hikes of unequal footing. It started as a collection, pressing leaves, dried fragments, and petals into skin, date, place, descriptor, habitat conditions, a GPS coordinate. You know where to find me, down to the minute. I thought about turning over a new leaf. Maybe it would make room for you. I started with a rapidly expanding stillness, turned left on red to deleted text. I wanted to make a Venn diagram, overlapping my needs with you. Instead, I charted out our mutual exclusion. It started with uncomfortable skin, turned into resignation, attending bargain basement hot yoga or Y saunas, 4 days a week, then 6. Calves, tendons, toes, and knees, breathe the death of heat, and I wilt. I'm good at twisting my limbs into quiet imposition. It started as a task, reordering, encoding, cataloging. It started with stitches all along my spine, rolled my shoulder. It went from stitches to glue, and I tipped in a watercolor tattoo, herb, yellow-green flower, fragrant. I made it a matter of self-preservation, with lunarum dermaplaning, erasing marks at the lines of the corners of my eyes, polished with oat bran and washed in milk. They wore deeper. I didn't feel any better, but I looked it, and that was enough. It started as a stretch, the arm doodles we create from kinetic listening. It started as a dichotomous key. Yes, no, yes, yes, no, no, yes, no room for maybe. I shuffled my name into Latinate for consistency. I couldn't be sure my signature read as medicine or poison. When pressed, I made my tongue into a nickname. It started because the way my atlas and axis intersect wasn't strong enough to support their nomenclature. My flowers are perfect. Stems or basal sheaths, red or purple at the base, whirl like a fingerprint. Cordate, coordinal. My flowers are not perfect. The Victorians didn't have the necessary language for me.
Thank you so much, Sarah Ann. Next up, we have Cheyenne Bennett. In memoriam, Uncle Robert. But don't you remember his wet, cold lips? I folded my hands, she unfolded her hands. She knew at 5 the slick, wet tongue between those lips. Knowledge she offered in quivering hands was shrugged away. My grandmother, my mother, and I worshipped in a gospel of forgetting at the expense of the forgotten. We huddled our shoulders in enveloping circles, our eyes so flooded in light we said, we did not notice 80-year-old hips rolling salsa like a grenade, how he clawed his hands and called it tiger grip. The unmasking, the way he brandished his machete, never unashamed to hide it. He slapped the flat metal against our walls, his message rattling the air we stepped in. Our mothers always spoke of the rapists hiding in darkened leaves in Prospect Park or slithering between train cars when the A ran local at night. They never told us to lock ourselves in our rooms, and even there we were not safe. Once I learned that what I was never taught, he died to me before we ever lost him, at the corner of Halsey and Patchen, in a bathrobe and briefcase. 1949 on the canal, trapped in his black skin and his West Indian accent. Even in the hospital bed, his legs relentlessly twitching, running so the mestizos would not catch him. Return him to a place he did not know. In Brooklyn, his mind was erasing itself. I can still see his eyes, two little windows, glimpsing unquenchable flames, the image of terror that had dared to eat us too.
Thank you so much, Cheyenne. Next we have Lee Fisher.
Hi everyone, my name is Lee. One of the things that I write about a lot is, I'm one of those short people that Jericho was talking about.
He wants to have some? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I used to work in medicine, so one thing I'm really interested in is the moral greatness that comes with the practice of medicine, and also a lot of the shortcomings and failures that come along with it. So examining some of those things is what went into this poem. I walk back and forth, pacing, writing. They glance and shrug, careless, thoughtless. I live behind a closed door, working, rhyming. They live in costly palaces, drinking, laughing. I find myself ill, and I'm quiet, silent. They don their white coats, they smile, they nod. The closest doctors get is watching, staring. Emily was right to be afraid of those who claim to do no harm. And I'm gonna do a very quick second one. I tend to write pretty short poems. This one's kind of more just about like the New York City grind. Looking at the tiredness beneath your eyes and seeing how you look back, noticing the same fatigue in me. It's a brief moment, gone in a flash, but it's a moment of understanding, a fleeting bond, the commonality of human experience. It's a reminder that we both, albeit tired, are strong.
Thank you.